Grace and peace to all of you in the name of our Lord and Liberator, Jesus Christ. Good morning. Thank you so much, Dee Dee. Where did Dee Dee go? It's always great to have a colleague introduce you. And of course, being here at Wake Forest, we're surrounded not only by colleagues, but most importantly, we're surrounded by friends. And today we have friends who are joining us from afar and from near, and we want to welcome you to our chapel service. So thank you for coming and thank you for being with us. Today is a very special day because it begins our life together in the spring semester. And if you remember, in the fall semester, we began our journey with Dietrich Bonhoeffer's Life Together. Well, today, as we begin spring, Bonhoeffer is calling us to a deeper sense of mission and a deeper sense of vocation. And it is something that I've given the title Prolegomena to Abolition Christianity. Prolegomena to Abolition Christianity. As we begin this new semester of our life together, let us attend to some preliminary matters of abolition Christianity. Abolition Christianity, a new sensibility of human being and belonging in the world by way of an untimely theological thinking anchored in a critical rememory of Karl Barth's 1911 theological declaration that Jesus is the movement for social justice, and the movement for social justice is Jesus in the present. Abolition Christianity, a disruption of the imperial logics, colonial legacies, and deadly discourses of a new world Constantinian Christianity unleashed in the maelstrom of modernity. Abolition Christianity, inspired by W.E.B. Du Bois's conception of abolition democracy and its critical retrieval and rearticulation by Angela Davis, must await a fuller expression, which I will take up at Bright Divinity School for the 2024 McFadden Lecture in a couple of weeks. But first, what we here at Wake Divinity must do is attend to some preliminary matters on abolition Christianity. Let's begin by saying that we are living through a very dangerous time. Everyone in this room is in one way or another aware of that. We are in a revolutionary situation, no matter how unpopular that word has become in our country. So many citizens of this country who figure themselves responsible, and particularly those of you who deal with the minds and hearts of young people, must be prepared to go for broke. Or to put it another way, you must understand that in the attempt to correct so many generations of bad faith and cruelty, when it is operating not only in the classroom, but in a society, you will meet the most fantastic, the most brutal, and the most determined resistance. These words come from James Baldwin's elegant statement, A Talk to Teachers. And it is a most appropriate place to begin our prolegomena to abolition Christianity. You see, Baldwin is a barometer of American democracy, gauging the deep pressures at work in the social, cultural, and political fabric of the nation. He does not flinch at the task of the intellectual to speak truth to power and, as Amilcar Cabral reminds us, tell no lies and claim no easy victories. Baldwin sets the agenda for abolition Christianity. For his talk to teachers lays out a task that is not only for teachers, but those of us who have chosen to take up the cross and seek to respond to the call of the prophets to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Ours is not a Christianity of the empire that continues to exhibit what Sylvia Winters has aptly termed Sepulveda syndrome, named after the 16th century Spanish theologian who argued that the Spaniards had a right to enslave the Indians because the latter were culturally inferior. This Sepulveda syndrome fuels a Christianity where Western man alone has the property of humanness. By the process of repetition, humanity comes to become synonymous with being European, with the possession of European culture. To be non-European is to be non-human. In other words, the I becomes God, and the not I becomes a heretic. Abolition Christianity is a heresy of Christianity and a heresy of humanism. It is undergirded by an ethic captured in the phrase, go for broke. In this respect, Baldwin is most instructive for us here at Wake Divinity as we prepare to ourselves to live out our mission. A mission captured in 3 words: justice, reconciliation, and compassion. And if we are to be and become a theological community that forms agents of justice, reconciliation, and compassion for Christian churches and other ministries, we must talk about this risk of faith, a risk of a life to gain the only life worth living. We must talk about abolition Christianity. Indeed, we must be prepared to go for broke if we are to speak, yet alone fashion practices and institutions that aspire to this audacious calling, captured in those 3 words that open up a universe: justice, reconciliation, and compassion. Just like Baldwin, we face a crisis moment that is deeper and more profound than that can adequately be conceptualized, and one that escapes the very registers of thought or of a dominant theology with a capital T. In other words, what is required of us, Wake Divinity, is to begin to think and to prepare, to critically respond in our moment with an untimely theological thinking, one that is out of joint with a time dominated and dictated by a life denying political authoritarianism, a death-dealing militarism, predatory planetary capitalism, and an inhumane social and cultural order that denies and denigrates the density and variety of the human condition and of all of creation. In this moment, Wake Divinity, what is required is not a Christianity that continues to suffer from the Sepulveda syndrome, but an abolition Christianity. An abolition Christianity that is an untimely theological thinking, a critical and faithful practice that reterritorializes ossified forms of thought and theologies to a living landscape of possibility, able to host a protein thinking and a protein living that links our ethics to the ways in which we know, our epistemology, to the experiences of life and the art of living. It calls us to an expression that becomes the seed for tomorrow that is dropped on soils everywhere, that blossoms into a new world. And in so doing, these blossoms provide us with a way of thinking about life. You see, the gospel reading from Mark is exemplary in this regard. The calling of the disciples is remarkable because it comes unannounced. It comes without notice. It comes not after something we have sought, and it comes not after something that we wish to do. It comes from without, In an elegant simplicity, the call becomes convicting. The call is for the common, not for the elite. It is for the overlooked. It is for those who think of themselves in the ordinary, and it does not miss those extraordinary moments of life. The call is every day, and it elicits a full and embodied response. You have to turn to a new life in the totality of who you are and move to something that is yet known. It is as much a calling from an old way of life, and more importantly, a calling to an other way of living. The gospel opens up a new cartography for existence and gives us an opportunity, individually and collectively, to exercise an untimely theological thinking. You see, at one point we may think we are fisher people, but then we become fisher people for new people. We become something new, a call that is untimely, that is not dictated by the logics and dictates of a theopolitics of nostalgia, of a theopolitics of yesterday, but a theological imagination opened up to the infinite expanses of tomorrow. Abolition Christianity is this untimely theological thinking. It risks our faith and reminds us that faith is not that which is known and which is certain, but faith exists when we respond to a call to move to something we may not know where we may end. Abolition Christianity is a call to a broader vision of human being and belonging. It is shaped by an ethic of hospitality. It welcomes us. It invites us on a journey together, a journey where we are never alone. In a moment when the global is always local, such a commitment and such a call is necessary to remind us of a capacious vision of social belonging and a capacious vision of human community that is so limited by a parochial nationalism and a patriotic Christianity that seeks to wed religion and empire. At the height of the modern Black freedom movement, the distinguished historian of religion, Charles H. Long, eloquently captured this sentiment in his statement. The visibility of the Black community in America is our challenge and opportunity to develop a freedom for humanity, a new humanity. This is the call to which abolition democracy responds. An untimely theological thinking that seeks to foster communities of compassion, caring, and creativity. Abolition democracy is cultivated by the imaginations of the marginal, the dreams of the disregarded, and the desires of the disinherited, for as the Peruvian theologian Gustavo Gutierrez reminds us and prophetically states, even the poor have a right to think. The ideal that all persons, particularly those on the margins of society, have a right to think, forces a reordering of things and a reordering of Christianity. The work, thought, theology, and practice of abolition Christianity moves to the logic of the socially ostracized and politically marginalized, those unaccounted for by the dominant regimes of thought and the dominant political order, in order to construct a new idea, a new thought, fresh images, and novel expressions of a humanity that we create together. It is a fierce allegiance to such an ideal that moves us away from Christianity to abolition Christianity, that presses us to expand those epistemic possibilities, to embrace a generous ethic of those who remind us that, yes, Jesus is social justice in the present. The expansion of theological possibility calls divinity to develop new and imaginative relationships between the cognitive and the material. It requires us to rethink fundamentally what does it mean to be a school of divinity committed to justice, committed to compassion, and committed to reconciliation in 2024 and beyond. So let us begin once again. And let us end this prolegomena at the beginning, recognizing with Baldwin that we are living in dangerous times. If Christianity is to mean more than a proper name for a set of rituals, thoughts, and practices of the same, we must take up the task of an untimely theological thinking that seeks new possibilities for renewal and seeks new ways of human being and belonging in the world. That is abolition Christianity. It fosters a compelling vision of life and of liberation. And indeed, if we are to inaugurate an age of abolition Christianity, may we inaugurate an untimely thinking that realizes the vision captured in the poem by Mary Evans in her poem Celebration. I will bring you a whole person, and you will bring me a whole person, and we will have us twice as much of love and everything. I be bringing you a whole heart, and while it does have its nicks and dents and scars, and that only make me lay it down more careful like, and you be bringing me a whole heart, a little chipped, rusty, and sometimes it skips a beat. But still in all, you bringing polish to and look like you intend to make it shine. And we be bringing each of us the music of ourselves to wrap in the other, soft as a choir's last lingering note, our personal blend. I will be bringing you someone whole, and you will be bringing me someone whole. And we be twice as strong, and we be twice as true, and we will have twice as much of love and everything. May this vision of abolition Christianity capture us and enable us to continue our journey and serve as a light as we seek to live out the message of the gospel in every day of our lives. Amen.